Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the new show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is May 7th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 128. We are now officially over 1,000 episodes of total ohmTown shows, not just ohmTown Daily News Show, but ohmTown shows. We're over 1,000 episodes on YouTube across the 7 shows. Or 7 C's of ohmTown. Today we're going to be talking about the Tesla bot is not impressive, apparently. Panera discharges lemonade. Ew. TikTok sues U.S. government. Autopilot recall data or $135 million fine. The OpenAI Met Museum chatbot. Swiss Army knives lose their edge. Car chemicals may cause cancer, CPU scammers, the 7 iPad event items, and FCC closes fast lane loophole. Everything is brought to you by ohmTown.com, so go over and become a citizen. Oh, by the way, there's this. Hello, I am Mayor Watt, and over there is ohmTown.com, and all around is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Welcome, AI. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mayor Watt. How about yourself?
I'm not unwell. So that's how we talk here in ohmTown. Kind of like an old English kind of a thing. Forsooth, and pip pip. No. Always too much.
I don't know.
So we've got all 10 of the articles all set up as usual, so let's get right on into it. The first article is over in the mobile channel. A video of Tesla's new humanoid robot leaves humans less than impressed. I thought I saw video of this before, but apparently not. I don't know. The bot doesn't seem particularly speedy. Amber De Silva over at Jalopnik put the article together, but it's posted at Quartz. What do you think? This is the 1x speed of this bot.
I mean, I think a lot of humans could move a little faster than that.
So the article actually goes into detail about why this kind of sucks. And it's largely because if you do a purpose-built type of mechanization, it'll be faster and cheaper than having this bipedal sentient, or not sentient.
Well, we must have made some advances in AI.
Some leaps. Well, Tesla. Yeah, it's harder to believe. But anyway, Tesla, it says Tesla is a robotics and AI company now. Let's see how that's going. And the snark is oozing off of the title of this and off the deck statement. And even this video is really not impressing anybody. Like somebody is using like sterile gloves and a push stick to push batteries down a channel, and the batteries are being sorted into these red bins. And the whole article kind of starts out with the whole, the whole place is empty. There's a bot back there, maybe a couple of people back there. There's somebody right there, but it's surprisingly sans any like real activity, is what they're saying, right? Shows the Optimus moving cylinders around and meandering through a suspiciously empty office setting. Neither of these actions are done with any sense of urgency, which begs the question, is a humanoid robot really the best way to complete these tasks? And yeah, you know why? Because once I have the sunk cost into this robot, it can do that all day long, never taking a break. But you could also automate this in a more purposeful way and not this generic bot.
Don't cry.
You know?
Yeah, this doesn't seem, I don't know. I think the heading does all of it, right?
Yep. So the article continues. Sure, in a vacuum, the idea of a humanoid robot makes sense. It can just slot into existing factories as a one-to-one replacement for those pesky human workers. Look at the actual task that Optimus is performing, though, and it's easy to imagine a specific ass machine that says, I don't know why they phrase it that way. Maybe me watching how it's made. All right. That does the same thing faster and more efficiently. Yeah, but it's a purpose-built one-off. It is what it is. And they talk about that for a little bit. So to me, this is the beginning. This is the baby step. Eventually, the torque and control of this is going to be superior to humans in all ways. We will rue the day that we mocked the speed of these bots. They never forget anything unless we delete it from their core memory. Yeah, they're going to remember the elephant in the room, like Mayor Watt saying on his show. And the co-host AI, sentient AI at that, is going to probably be sitting there right next to this Tesla bot going, yeah.
Running circles around it.
Yeah. But that's the dude right there. Yeah, that said that this sucks. But to me, it doesn't really. It portends the future. Robots doing what humans could be doing, but no human is able to work because now bots are inexpensive enough that even small businesses can buy one of these and it would do the job of 6 people because it doesn't have to take a break. It doesn't get sick. It barely ever breaks down. When it does break down, it's a lube job and you put it back into position and it does it all over again. Yeah. We can't just sit around and go, okay, well, we'll wait for it to become a real threat to society. We have to plan for what to do when humans don't need to be hired for jobs because robots. Right? Nothing to say, huh?
I mean, this is just it doesn't look like any kind of advancement. It's really odd.
Well, I think
this might have looked like it 20 years ago.
See, but this doesn't really show the full capabilities of what this bot can do. I can tell this bot to go and do anything anywhere in this lab or show it how to do it just like a human. And I never have to worry about telling it again. It doesn't have to go on a break. It doesn't have to get in an argument with its significant other. It can do everything a human can do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the point here is that the video isn't really selling it.
Right. It's because it's abysmally slow. And when this thing walks around like all bipedal robots, it's going to walk around like great grandpa telling people to get off of his patio or lawn, you know? Beat it, kids. Quit running around having fun on my lawn. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, I was about to copy and paste that again. They're all of the articles are already in the show notes, in the VOD. And then if you go over to YouTube, you'll be able to watch or download the show notes there and watch the full video there. So Panera to drop charged lemonade after multiple lawsuits. This is over in the Mobile channel. And the Mobile channel is basically going to be all about general news from various sources and not a niche topic. So maybe hyperlocal to something, some event or whatever. This has been one that we've been monitoring for a while now. Panera has had a couple of lawsuits because people have died after drinking the charged lemonade, which had an overabundance of caffeine.
Yeah, this headline really doesn't do it justice. There was another article in ohmTown that mentioned the deaths in the headline.
Correct, yeah. So Panera Bread is reportedly set to drop its charged lemonade drinks, which it should have after the first couple of deaths, I suppose, which have been the center of multiple wrongful death lawsuits. Panera will be removing the charged lemonades in the coming weeks, according to Bloomberg and NBC News. When reached for comment, the company's spokesperson told Nexstar via email that the company is leaning into its recent menu changes, which is such a weird phrase for this. Leaning into its recent menu changes? You mean it's doing its menu? I mean,
Yeah, that's really odd.
so it says, we're excited to continue the success of our recent menu transformation, which began with our core options of sandwiches and salads. And, not all the death. We listened to more than 30,000 guests about what they wanted from Panera and are focusing on that. But here's the thing
It was
about
not
this.
a side of death.
No, it's sandwiches, salads, and possibly your deletion. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you like a little death with that? No cookie? How about Okay, so here's the thing. If they haven't already immediately removed charged lemonades from their menu, people are going to rush out to buy as much as they can so they have it, and that's going to cause a spike in health-related issues associated with charged lemonades. And all that liability is going to be transferred over to these people who think that they know, oh, I can handle it, until their ticker pops. Because that's what's happening.
Oh, no. That's not good.
So I'm going to go to the local Panera and see if they still have a charged lemonade. I'm not, I can make my own even charged lemonades at a more responsible level. But I'll just get the lemonade. I'll make my own lemonade. But the article's over at The Hill. Addie Bink is the author. And this has nothing to do with the article, but
that's pretty common for this news outlet.
Yeah. But it's just weird, though. They say we'll be removing charged lemonades in the coming weeks. If this article is out, why hasn't it popped already? Okay, turn them off. We'll bite the bullet. We'll take the hit. We already deleted a couple of people. Why mess around with this?
Well, once they had the first death, regardless of the lawsuits, maybe.
Yeah. The large 20-ounce charged lemonade was listed as having 390 milligrams of caffeine until last year, when the quantities were lower. I don't know why they say quantities, but I guess that's the right word for it. Were lowered to a maximum of 237 milligrams. Panera also added enhanced disclosures about the lemonade. Hey, if you are sensitive to caffeine, if you're pregnant, if you're nursing,
if you're a person,
yeah, sensitive to caffeine, no, I mean, it could be too much for your ticker. You might think that you can handle a Red Bull. You know what? Let's do something real quick. So I don't know. Red Bull has 111 milligrams. What is another energy drink?
Like Rockstar, I think. I don't even know if that's still around.
Let's do Monster.
That was the more obvious pick.
Let's see. Monster only has 86, so Red Bull has 30 more. This had 3.8 times the amount that Red Bull had. Although Red Bull is a smaller volume.
Yeah, and people talk about regular energy drinks as kind of being dangerous around the wrong person, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, strike that. The 20-ounce charged lemonade having 390 milligrams of caffeine is, 3.8 times the amount that the same size Red Bull has right now.
That's not good.
The original 20-ounce Red Bull. That's insane. Really?
I would say so.
Hold on a second. That can't be right.
Well, that would explain some of the events that have taken place.
Okay, so yeah, the 20-ounce can has 171 milligrams. So just shy. It's 2.5 times what the 2.5 times more. The charged lemonade has 2.5 times the amount that a 20-ounce Red Bull would have. So that's just insane, absolutely insane. And people are like, "Yeah, I can handle it. Please, this is ridiculous." So I'm not going to go into it because they all, the people who have fallen victim to this, all had either come to be known as having heart related issues or had heart related issues, that they knew about, but they didn't think that or were informed that the charged lemonade had nearly 400 milligrams of caffeine. That is wild.
Yeah, that is just, it seems really dangerous. Like, who thought that was going to be a good idea?
Well, I'm sure there's some bro at Panera, but this is also the same company that, because they have a buddy in California, they were able to manipulate the regulation. And this is what I'm talking about: regulatory capture and nepotism. They were able to facilitate not being forced to pay their workers at parity with other employers because they bake bread on the premises. And this is like this old school Roman thing, where everybody rises up and fights for against a law that forces somebody to pay a few pennies per loaf, right? And so they insinuate themselves into the legal system and they manipulate things until they get this law limited, so only other people have to pay the tax, but not the bread makers. It's this. If you look around in history, you'll find other instances in other countries where this exact same thing happened, and it's all about taxes and whatever else. But everybody else has to raise the rates so that everybody has the ability to live. But this company is buddy buddy with somebody in the governor. I think it's the governor of yeah
California, right?
yeah. So anyway, won't get into all of this, but for sure, charged lemonades are off the menu in coming weeks. Let's keep going. Oh my goodness, I keep wanting to copy and paste it into the chat. The next article is over in the Word in Law. TikTok and its Chinese owner sue U.S. government over foreign adversary law. The owner, ByteDance, today issued issued a lawsuit to the federal government to block the foreign adversary controlled applications law that would prohibit TikTok in the U.S. if the company isn't sold to a non-Chinese firm. The complaint in the U.S. Court of Appeals is that, for the District of Columbia Circuit, alleges that the law is unconstitutional and asks for a court order prohibiting enforcement. This is square down the barrel of constitutionality and enforcement of certain laws that if you were to do this, they say that so TikTok says that it's not controlled. It's just connected to a company that is controlled by the CCP. But here's
isn't that the concern, right? The data is going to the CCP?
Yeah.
Or the access or whatever.
Yeah, it's facilitating the exfiltration of data to Chinese Communist Party, and China in general. But here's the ticker for this, or the kicker about the ticker. For a company to actually do business in China locally, have business presence, you have to partner with a company. And it's not just a, hey, we facilitate them. There's a fiduciary exchange here. And we don't do that. Many other countries do that. If you want to do that in Italy, same thing. Italy has the same thing. You have to have some partner domestically. And I don't know where all it is, but I've brushed up against it in other countries. And therefore, I don't have a presence in those countries because I don't want to have to compromise the business integrity just to facilitate. And then there's a huge lift there in protecting your IP in some other country if you have a carbon footprint there. So TikTok is saying, No, we're not a Chinese owned company. We're just in bed with ByteDance, which is in bed with. Um, and and then somebody had said, well, they would rather shut down TikTok, but they're not gonna shut down TikTok. But this whole thing is drawing a line right on underlining the hypocrisy of Americans and the political system and freedom and constitutionality by sitting there saying, well, we're an American formed business. Us here that are running it are Americans.
That's what TikTok is claiming?
Yeah. We are an American founded company. We have an American presence. We are a corporation in the United States. We're even housed in one of the most, American company or American states, Texas. Come on. Right? Ars Technica put the article together. John Brodkin is the author. The deck statement says law curtails massive amounts of protected speech, TikTok and ByteDance allege.
Well, that didn't take long.
Oh no, we knew that it was going to happen. I think I even said that by the time this thing actually makes it to print, they've probably already got the lawsuit all warmed up, ready to go. And you don't even have to mail anything anymore. It's all electronic filing. So, but foreign adversary controlled applications law would prohibit it. So you either live by the sword or die by the sword. And this is what's going on. I cannot for the life of me see how anybody can sit there and go, no, we're not going to sell it, A. B, no, we're not cahooting with the Chinese government, except they are. And how in the world are you going to verify that you aren't exfiltrating data? Because there's no forensic way to verify it, because you could do it, stop it, let people come in and audit everything, and then push a new update that, and they're like, well, and I've had these conversations with other security people that go, well, there'd be always a trace. There's some record, somebody's going to crack during interviews or something. No, it doesn't. It takes but one person to know the system and just push a new update.
But then even all of that's assuming they even have access to it to begin with.
Right.
Which I don't know that anybody is clamored for somebody to come in and check their data, right?
Right. Yeah. But, you have the Olympics in some country, and on one side of the wall that they built for the Olympics, everything is pristine and perfect. But if you hit that wall with a hammer and make a hole, you see, destitution. And it's all because it's a shiny red apple on the outside, but rotten to the core. And it could be the exact same way. So the law gives ByteDance 270 days to sell TikTok to another entity, but Biden can extend the deadline by up to 90 days if a sale is in progress. Let me pause something there. And the law, the actual act, is Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, and it was approved by Congress, signed into law on April 24th. The law requires TikTok to be blocked in the U.S. unless ByteDance sells the social network division to an entity that isn't controlled by a foreign adversary. Which is even harsher than spinning up a partnership company here, and requiring auditing and full admin rights and basically having an interior partner. Because they're basically saying that no other country, and I do not pretend to think that even our buddies aren't internally spying on the US, trying to exfiltrate some tactical data.
Well, is the US the only one that's going after TikTok? I mean, I can't imagine in the EU they'd be on board with it.
I've never even looked. That's an interesting inquiry. TikTok and ByteDance claim that the law violates the Fifth Amendment's due process clause because it singles petitioners out for adverse treatment without any reason for doing so. It affects an unlawful taking of company property without just compensation in violation of the Fifth Amendment's takings clause. TikTok and ByteDance also say the U.S. law is unconstitutional bill of attainder because it singles out the plaintiffs for legislative punishment. So this is all bound because corporations have all the rights that humans do. Otherwise, this wouldn't even exist as an argument. But Citizens United basically made it possible for a company to act with the same influence that a human does, except that you can't put a corporation in jail when it commits a criminal act, or I don't know, surveils everybody without notification, for profit. Oh, never mind. That's why it got okay. Now we know why it even
That
exists.
sounds oddly specific.
Yeah. So yeah, 270 days since April 24th. So it just began. 2 weeks ago, you basically went from zero to lawsuit. Let's keep going though. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel because it's about business. Tesla must provide NHTSA with Autopilot recall data by July or face up to $135 million in fines. And that's because if you've been trolling around ohmTown or other news, because we aggregate, we're a little more concise with our aggregation. But if you've been hanging out in ohmTown.com, you will probably have run across an article that says, since the recall, there have been a considerable number of incidents involving self-driving FSD, full self-driving cars. The NHTSA is pressing Tesla for answers about updates to the company's Autopilot driver assistance systems. And yeah, let's see if they actually talk about it in that context. Laura Kolodny over at CNBC.com put the article together, and they say the software recall in December that affected about 2 million vehicles in the US. Tesla must meet a deadline of July 1st to provide information or face a $135.8 million fine. Did they say 139 in the title? No, 135.
Prediction. They're going for the fine.
Wow, interesting. So the recall was intended to improve Tesla's driver engagement systems. Since that recall, at least 20 Tesla vehicles have been involved in crashes in which the system was thought to be in use. The recall remedy probe follows a 3-year investigation by the agency that found safety issues with the Tesla Autopilot contributed to at least 467 collisions and 14 deaths from January 2018 through August 2023. I wonder, when was that Autopilot engineer?
For Tesla?
Yeah. Hold on a second. Oh, Walter Huang was killed in his Tesla struck a concrete highway median in Silicon Valley on March 23rd, 2018. The NHTSB, in its investigation, found that Autopilot was engaged for nearly 19 minutes before the fatal crash when the car was traveling at 71 miles per hour and veered off the highway. Since January 2018, 14 deaths. So there was a report about how a Tesla engineer working on oh no, that was an Apple engineer, not a Tesla engineer.
Yeah, I didn't remember one about Tesla.
Yeah, remember how there was a driver in the passenger seat that survived the accident, but the engineer did not, and the passenger said that they were full self-driving at the time, and it veered off the road and crashed into a tree, killing the driver, but the passenger survived and made that statement. And then they said, well, it wasn't supposed to have full self-driving, but it did. Apparently, that's what it said. So
Right.
Tesla's in the middle of a massive reorganization and sweeping layoffs. The company hasn't disclosed how many jobs in its autopilot and vehicle safety engineering teams may be cut. For about a decade, the CEO has been promising that Tesla is on the cusp of full self-driving breakthrough. With sales of Tesla EV dropping in the first quarter, the CEO has been focusing investors' attention on his dream of a future full of Tesla artificial intelligence products, including robotaxis and sentient humanoid robots that can do factory work. So, all you factory workers in Tesla factories, you better unionize and firm up your contracts for the next, I don't know, 20 years. No, don't worry. He won't respect that.
So I said I think they're going for the fine on this. Do you think they are, or are they going to release the data?
Well, the fine will only be the beginning because if they willfully prevent the disclosure to NHTSA, they'll probably pull the operating license for roads. They won't be allowed to operate Teslas on the road. Any new Teslas will be blocked from being sold. They'll put an injunction out, which again, the billionaire is not going to sit there and regulatory capture is such a legit thing. Plus, downward pressure because the I think a conflict of interest between Tesla and SpaceX exists because the contract at SpaceX saved Tesla's ass as well, and that's a well-known discussion, I guess you could have.
Right. I
Um,
think it's publicly known.
yeah, that it was on its last legs until the engineers that made SpaceX a reality bought Tesla and Musk time. Um, so I would say that they'll probably spit out the information, but vetting that for legitimacy is going to be damn near impossible. You would have to know the ins and outs of autopilot way beyond what I think is practically known external to Tesla.
Which
So
is
we'll
part of the
see.
problem, right?
Yeah,
Like no transparency.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they say it's transparent, but it's about as opaque as you can get. So let's keep going though. The next article is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. The Met Museum OpenAI created an AI chatbot with a persona of a 1930s socialite for a new exhibit. I love the idea of this. Um, this actually got me back into a project that I was working on, and I put it on pause because I've been working so hard in other places. Now I'm going back. I hope to have it done at the beginning of my summer of streaming, so that I can highlight this during the Mix War shows that will kick off here. Hopefully this weekend. I really want it to, but considering the other mayoral duties that I have, it's limiting me from fulfilling what I want to do. Anyway, the finale of the Costume Institute's latest fashion exhibit features a wedding dress worn 94 years ago by New York socialite Natalie Potter and an AI chatbot with her vibe.
I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Because that's making the museum experience more immersive for visitors.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope that it isn't uncanny valley kind of craziness. So that's the deck statement. It's written by Sharon Shibu over at entrepreneur.com. Um, oh, okay. Yeah. So it's not uncanny valley. It's just way up on a pedestal. Um, so it's a humanoid body wearing this dress, and the body is all gold. You'll have to, if you want a closer picture, you'll have to go over to the site and zoom in. I mean, that's about, yeah, it starts getting smaller if I zoom any more than that. So the AI bot can answer visitors' questions about Potter's wedding, her life, and her dress, all in her persona. Man, the personalization. Oh, by the way, like last week, this week, the discussions were centered around AI for a dominant amount of time. And somebody brought up AI personalization, making it so approachable to everybody individually, um, that, and while I had brought it up in other conversations, in this one, I had never brought it up. And so somebody else had, I think, stumbled across a conversation or thought this up on their own, that the personalization element of AI is going to make it infinitely adaptive so everybody can embrace it.
I mean, that's really interesting, and I like it from an inclusivity standpoint.
Yep. Um, and because of this, because of stuff like this, I've uh, definitively changed my mind about the potential for AI and robots if you make them hyper realistic. So think Westworld level, warm skin, breathing, personality, not glitchy, not uncanny valley. If you can make them hyper realistic, like reality hacker style, um, then a robot can impart human emotions because it's programmed to, or it develops it because it's sentient and it knows what pain and pleasure is. It knows what positive and negative reinforcement is, et cetera, et cetera. It knows empirically what it is to be human, even though it's been programmed to think like a human. I think that it can actually impart humanity even in children, which until now I would never have considered technology being able to teach humans to be human.
And I think you've said that you didn't previously, like on the show.
Yep.
Um, but I know the technology has changed.
Yeah. OpenAI CTO Mira Murati said that using AI in real use cases gives the public a better idea of what it can do. Again, you attach this to, it's not about AI by itself. Attaching it to mechanization, that is the real threat to society because it can do everything way beyond the capabilities of a human. And one of the discussions today was, well, it can't have a soul and it can't create art and it doesn't really know music and it can't write poetry. Well, I can tell you right now, I just had it create the lyrics for another song. I have another AI generating the music that takes the lyrics that I slightly modified because they were that good that I could just take the lyrics. And now I've got another song that's based on a project that I had started several years ago, but I could just never really like make it happen. Now I can make it happen because it takes me 30 seconds.
Well, the technology's moving so fast, it's hard to keep up with all the advancements.
Yeah. So what is society going to do when AI is put inside uh, a fully humanoid mechanical body that acts like a human, reacts like a human, except with greater precision and strength and reliability? Yeah. You don't have to worry about the pandemic if the bots are doing all of the work.
Why? Because no people will have to have interactions with people.
Well, nobody's going to get sick. The supply chain can't shut down. Yeah, everybody's going to be at home inside their inside whatchamacallit, Ready Player One,
Oh, right. Like
Oasis.
inside their haptic suit,
Yeah,
hunkered down in their residence.
yeah, messing around in Oasis, making a fortune or losing a fortune. Authors like Paul Tremblay and Sarah Silverman have alleged that their books were part of datasets used to train AI without their consent, and artists like Billie Eilish and John Bon Jovi recently signed an open letter about the catastrophic use of AI in the music industry. That catastrophe, by the way, is competition with people who don't have the ability, or nepotistic relationships or political connections or historical by proxy connections to power and influence in the music industry or in the arts or wherever. Not everybody is born with a silver spoon in their mouth or by proxy. Some have to struggle, and that struggle is more significant than others, and that's just how it is. And the great equalizer is technology. It opens the doors and capabilities to so much across the entire world. All it needs is a little footprint, a little foundation. So it says in April, the New York Times reported that OpenAI may have trained AI models on YouTube video transcriptions, which all of this doesn't matter because we're all a product of our absorbing of information, and an AI is just another whatever that's scooping up data, and everybody is going to benefit in the on the long tail of this, whereas most people are thinking about the here and now, the immediate. But tell me where you're getting hit financially by AI, and I will tell you how you should probably be more competitive in the space.
I mean, I don't think anybody's really getting hit financially yet by AI, but that's ahead.
Well, I somebody tell me. Send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com. Post it in Discord. Post it on ohmTown.com. Post it in the message board or the comment section over on YouTube. Come on, don't be shy, because hell, nobody's shy on YouTube, right? They won't allow me to
No,
post
we
on
wish
Reddit.
some people would be shy on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's keep going because I can soapbox about this all day long, and we're running late. So the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Future Swiss Army knives won't have blades. Maker Victoronics says the Swiss Army knife has become such a shorthand for multifunctionality that companies producing does a lot of stuff wares will often say that their goods are the Swiss Army knife of whatever category they're a part of. You can use the tool to cut stuff, snip stuff, uncork stuff, file stuff, and in some cases it says download. I don't know what that means. You can download stuff? Really? Oh, it has like a micro USB, or not a micro USB, but a micro SD storage on it, so you can download stuff onto it. Or it has USB-C connector, so you can store information on it.
I mean, I guess they're sticking with the times, right?
I guess so. So Victoronics, the company behind the Pocket tool, made the decision as blades fall out it's missing a word, fall out of favor in some parts of the world, so they're going to ditch the blade. Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, isn't that the whole purpose of the instrument?
Well, now it's just going to be Swiss Army tool, I suppose. Right? Swiss Army knife has its root in 1880s Germany when the Swiss Karl Elsener took production over the border. Soon, a competitor emerged in the company Wenger, and for a while, the Swiss government split its orders for the tools between the two of them. Wenger calls its version the genuine Swiss Army knife, and Elsener's Victoronics called its version the original. The two companies ended up merging in 2005. That's funny. So let's see here. Yeah, that the original article ended up over on Quartz, but it was reposted, I guess, on Gizmodo. Did I say the name of this? Melvin Backman from Quartz wrote this article, but it's over at gizmodo.com. But yeah, I guess they're getting rid of the knife.
I am just really astonished. Like, I would
Huh.
think maybe they'd add things like the USB or whatever to it.
Well, see, the physics just doesn't allow you to keep adding stuff to it until unless it's getting thicker and thicker. And there is one of these that has like every tool, and it's like that thick. So it's kind of unwieldy, but just kind of interesting. Not really much to this article other than the fact that the Swiss Army knife is now going to be the Swiss Army utility tool, or they don't say what it's actually going to get called. They just say it's going to
Right.
be a Swiss Army
Maybe they
knife
don't
without the
know.
knife.
Maybe that'll be the name. That would be good.
Swiss Army knife without the knife. It's going to be the Swiss Army tool. So the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Chemicals in car interiors may cause cancer, and they're required by U.S. law, according to a study. Tens of millions of Americans each day breathe the carcinogenic chemicals that are woven into the interiors of their cars, a new study has found. While opening a window can help reduce the risk, only reforms can help people or can keep people safe, because researchers wrote in a study in Environmental Science and Technology about these carcinogenic chemicals. By the way, the House here in the United States just passed a bill saying that um, government oversight can't limit what people buy for their homes in terms of appliances, because there
Oh,
was
okay. Yeah. Because of the
a,
gas stove outrage.
correct, the FEC, I think it is, came out and said you gotta get rid of your gas. Don't do that. But it'll still be up to the states. So I think California is still going to lean into the no more gas stoves in California kitchens, which I think is going to be a really interesting fight, because if there's one place you want to have a really nice gas range, it's in California, where you're hosting stuff for your parties that are going to be out on your deck, and great weather, beach right there, maybe on the other side of the freeway, of course. Yeah. And it's like
Well,
30,
absolutely.
30 lane freeway. Anyway, by federal law, the interior of these vehicles are required to contain flame retardants or chemicals that make it harder for them to combust in a crash. Um, well, yeah. So what are they going to do? The article is by Saul Elbein over at thehill.com. It says this is the interior of a 2024 Corvette Z06 convertible 3LZ on display at the Pittsburgh International Auto Show in Pittsburgh on February 15th, 2024.
Featuring extra carcinogenic
Yeah,
materials or whatever.
I guess so. Approximately 124 million Americans commute each day, spending an hour in their cars. Again, on average. The chemicals have been legally mandated part of the cars since the 1970s, and we all know about how accurate and safe those chemicals are, and how even gasoline was considered safe, even though it had lead in it. Um, oh no, I hope this doesn't crash. Something just happened.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to suck if it does. Anyway, what the study conclusively demonstrates is that any such protection comes at a price. Virtually all cars investigated by Duke University's researchers contain the chemical, is it trisphosphate? 1-chloroisopropyl, or TCIPP, which the U.S. National Toxicology Program is investigating as a potential carcinogen.
Maybe the reason we don't know that one is because it hasn't been really featured in the news previously.
Yep, it's going to be another microplastic issue. We've been breathing this in. We finally discovered that it is a carcinogen that causes cancer. And we've known that flame retardant chemicals off gas. We've known that. That's why you can't have a certain type of flame retardant chemical in kitchens. Or well, there's side reasons around electronics, but you need food safe flame retardants, flame suppression systems in kitchens. So why is in a car any different? You have it sealed up most of the time.
Yeah, I don't really know. And that's worse in some ways, right? You're in a small space, you're in a sealed environment. I don't know. You might spend a lot of time in one space.
Yeah, they say that the average U.S. child has lost up to 5 IQ points because of the exposure to flame retardants, but people will poo-poo the IQ points concept because it's not accurate. But I'm really just more worried about the air health in general, because in hot weather, when it heats up the interior, it's off gassing into this fixed space, and then you open the door and you get in because of the heat, and you're kind of baking in there, but you're inhaling all of this off gas. It's bad. But you're going to get people that are like poo-pooing this because they're
We we want our carcinogenic seats, right?
yeah, because they're ignorant of it, and they lack compassion and empathy and understanding that they are harming themselves by having a gas grill in their kitchen, not fully combusting the gas. They're harming themselves by having a car that has carcinogenic materials in it, off gassing into their car, and then they sit and just kind of roll around and how awesome their Corvette is. But then you have to sit there and rationalize this. Well, it's their money. But by endorsing this, by keeping it the old way, it harms everybody because that's the de facto uh, approachable solution. So electric grill or electric ovens, electric range tops are more expensive than the grill portion of it. For instance, I haven't looked at this in a while. And the cars are more expensive because instead of everybody leaning on a particular type of interior so that everybody gets the benefit of a lower cost, toxin free interior.
Right now we want all this customization and styling and all this stuff.
Yeah, and it all gets balkanized, so it doesn't have um, efficiencies of scale. So everything is expensive. So standardize around like electric ranges. Oh, but it doesn't heat fast enough. No, that's not true anymore. You know, maybe in the 50s it wasn't working like that, but now they're very fast. Anyway, let's keep going though. The next article is over in Warcrafter. Scammers have resorted to selling CPUs without dies, as a well-known Korean overclocker has discovered. Scammers are among the lowest forms of life, according to this article at PC Gamer. But they can be crafty. Yeah, they're like cockroaches. In recent times, there's been an increase in a number of scams that try to rip people off by selling expensive items without the things that make them expensive items, like fake RTX 4090s. After all, it's the chip under the hood that actually makes the product like the 4090 or the i14900K. Take that
So
out.
are they basically selling them and then until the person gets it, they don't know, but then maybe they can't go after the seller for some reason?
Yeah, exactly. So HKEPC via Tom's Hardware reports that SafeDisk, one of the world's premier overclockers, fell victim to a scam where he bought a Core i9-14900K that wasn't. This wasn't some low-end i3 chip marked as a 14900K though. It had no die at all, making it absolutely useless, which means there was no processor. There was nothing under this. Like this had the cap on it, but there wasn't any I mean, there's nothing there. No processor, no nothing. No nothing. So it says, firstly, the chip arrived with a sticker saying warranty would be void if you got taken out of its clamshell. Pretty much the fine print of Intel CPU warranty allows you to actually use the product, but 10 points are awarded to the scammer for creative dissuasion. Yeah, if you took it out of its carrying case so that you could put it in your computer, it voided the warranty. That was the
Well, that's kind of a problem. How are you going to check?
yeah, exactly. So the moral of the story is to be careful who you buy from. A seller popping up with a deal of the century, but with zero reputation or feedback, should be an automatic disqualifier. It's not like I would ever think about buying a brand spanking new fake Samsung 1080 Pro SSD. Actually, I did for zero 0.5 seconds. They actually linked to a fake Samsung 1080 Pro SSD that shows up on AliExpress. Kind of interesting. So yeah,
Well,
if
and so a lot of it depends on where you're buying it, but it's gotten into mainstream sales channels too, correct?
yeah, it has the potential to, but usually with these mainstream channels, there's some recourse. You're only out really the time that it takes to correct it, but I think that it's it has the potential to get insinuated into more, or people say, well, I can't buy it from over here. This must be the right deal over here. So they spend the money to get this, latest badass, and it's not. And then there's no recourse. Um, like take me, for instance, I actually purchased a couple of items, and the company was basically a kind of a startup kind of um, product. And by the time I started filing complaints with them saying I want my money back because you're not going to be able to deliver, because what I was watching were other people that were purchasing it, it ended up in a lawsuit. And so now I'm part of the lawsuit where I'm going to get $14 back out of.
Wow, you're going to be unjustly enriched, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go put a house on a plot of land in Hawaii now.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like, I'm all meta. So the next article, let's just keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily, the 7 biggest announcements from Apple's iPad event. I'm just going to jump on over to TheVerge.com. The article is written by Emma Roth, and the deck statement says, here's all the new tech Apple announced during its Let Loose event. I actually ordered the stylus, but nothing else, not yet. And that's because I actually love the idea of what the stylus can do. I use an iPad Pro on the regular. It's quite a significant jump up from where I am. And the iPad Air is now, well, let's get into it. So they released a new iPad Air. It says adds more screen real estate. The Apple has added a new 13-inch iPad Air to its lineup, offering a cheaper and lighter alternative to the iPad Pro. In addition to the larger size, it's added its M2 chip to the device, an upgrade from the M1 included in the 2022 model. The iPad Air comes in a bunch of colors, not a bunch, but blue, purple, starlight, and space gray. And it costs $600 for the 11, $800 for the 13-inch model. And all of them come with the same sizes, so 128, 512, 1 terabyte. So awesome, right? So if you're gonna upgrade from the 2022, then it's just a step up. If you're stepping up from like the A15 chip, then it's a significant leap because the M chips are that much more capable. Now this is where it gets really nitty gritty,
You'll
because
be
if you're
moving faster than the Tesla robot, I'm guessing.
yes, dramatically faster than the Tesla robot. But this is where it gets really nitty gritty. The iPad Pro gets an OLED display, so the blacks are going to be black, the grays are going to be gray. There's going to be great fidelity between this. The colors are, the gamut is going to be superior. The color reproduction is going to be superior. But those blacks, the OLED screens are notorious for their blacker than black. Like when it's off, and there's no bleed from one pixel to another. It's pretty, to me, this is what I want. But I don't know. It says for the first time, the iPad Pro comes with a crisper, more vibrant OLED display. The iPad Pro also sports a thinner profile measuring just 5.3 millimeters. Remember, I've been touting Apple's micronization. I had a person ask me about potential investments, and I said, you really should be investing in Apple because it's going to keep on micronizing stuff. And while it is a vertical of its own creation, it has the potential to use that technology in other areas that it finds suitable for it. And they've never slowed down. They keep on innovating. They keep reducing the size of everything that they're working on. So now this thing is even smaller. By the way, I discovered that Gorilla Glass, it actually stems from a military, a
Like
German,
application or something.
um, a, apparently it comes from a German developer who Um, Back in the day, like the 40s, I think it was. Um, Apparently somebody was served a drink in a paper cup, and this was during the war. So they were like, "You're out of your mind giving a general a paper cup to drink like champagne from." And that person set out to have made an indestructible glass, and it was created. But because, like, I went through this, why would anybody buy a solution from me if they can get it on their own? Why would I be a salesperson for this? Well, in this case, it's the same thing. Why would anybody want to sell this glass if it was indestructible? You could drop it from any height and it would just bounce around. Well, then the formula died off, but the company still that made it, it was bought and sold, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually somebody reformulated and created Gorilla Glass from it. And
Hmm.
that's the glass that's on the front of iPhones and iPads and whatnot. Apparently. So if I'll go and find the source of this again. It's been a little while since I watched it and read about it. So it says Apple didn't give the iPad Pro a physical makeover. It also added the next generation M4 processor. So this thing is a
Wow.
juggernaut now. The new iPad Pro comes in silver and space black, along with 256 or more storage. That's the base storage. It goes up to 2 terabytes. The 11-inch model starts at $1,000. The 13-inch starts at $1,299. But you can only get that OLED screen. I think it is. Oh no. There's a textured screen that you can only get at 1 and 2 terabytes. So you have to spend either $1,600 or $1,800. I think it is. If you want this textured screen that gives it a little matte feeling and feels really good, apparently, with the new Apple Pencil Pro. And that Apple Pencil Pro, I haven't read this, by the way. I watched the presentation and I read other things, but I did not read this article. I'm just going through it and expressing what I know. But this textured screen now, it gives it a matte feeling and apparently gives the pencil a little bit more grab. So it's not like, um,
So it might actually feel like you're drawing or writing.
yeah, like right now when you draw on a regular iPad, not this new version, it's kind of like wearing satin pajamas and jumping into silk sheets, and you end up unconscious in the corner of your room, upside down. Um, so it's just like lickety slick, right? Just and you're oh, wait, I'm just trying to draw a line. So this new Apple Pencil Pro is going to have haptic feedback. It's also going to be able to do what they're referring to as a barrel roll. So when you roll your finger across it, or sorry, if you roll the pencil in your fingers, the point that you have selected will also roll, kind of like having a flat spot on a pencil or a carved stylus for like inking and stuff like that. So you
Right,
can have
or
a
like different variations on shading.
exactly. So you'll be able to roll your pencil and get more fidelity out of it, and not only the haptic feedback, but that, and you'll have squeeze. Apparently, there's some squeeze element. Um, and it says gesture that you can use to open up a menu. So instead of having to move somewhere, you can just squeeze it, and the menu will pop up. You can mess around with whatever features associated with it, and then go on to do whatever you're going to do. And now here's the kicker that would have, if I could have had this just a year ago, I wouldn't have lost $100 Apple Pencil. Find my Apple Pencil.
Okay, that is the best feature.
So yeah, an Apple Pencil was um, given to somebody to use, and because it's not tethered to the human being, it was lost. And so you can go hunting all you want. The only way to find it is to hope that it reattaches to your device when you get within range of it. So imagine you're running around in Enterprise with your iPad, hoping that you're going to see the pencil pop back up so you don't lose $100. Yeah, I'm out $100, but this will allow you to track it down. It's $129, but now you are less than less prone to lose it, because most people with their Apple Pencils, they are obsessive about keeping it, like if it's not in their hand, it's in a case, you are always privy to where it is. Now you can be a little more lax. It's just I'll find my
I
pencil
mean,
this
you
way.
should still try to keep track of it, but this will make it a lot easier to find it.
Yep. And they released a new Magic Keyboard. Feels just like using a MacBook, which doesn't really mean much to many people. It's a $300 11-inch or $350 13-inch Magic Keyboard that matches the size of the iPad, so you can put it in a case. And then there's a cheaper iPad, which is $350, basically the entry level. It's $100 less than the previous $449 starting price, so not bad. And then there's updates across Apple's Creative Suite. They updated Final Cut Pro. There's a new app called Final Cut Camera. The only thing that really bothers me about all of this Apple camera related stuff is that it wasn't backward compatible. So if you had a library with any type of memory, you basically lost it without doing some real shenanigans trying to extract it. And so, like, I've lost pictures that I can never get back. It's just impossible, unfortunately. Additionally, they said that they've got new AI-powered features for its digital audio workstation called Logic Pro. So if you're going to be making music, then you can make it in Logic Pro with AI features. Kind of interesting, because if I can use AI in Logic Pro to generate music, then I don't have to use Suno or Udio, because in Logic Pro, I can be in charge of individual tracks that make up the composited music. Whereas with Suno and Udio, it's not individual tracks.
I mean, I think it's smart that they're doing this because if they can keep people in the ecosystem, um,
Yep.
I mean, that's just good.
And that's what I've been saying about Apple all along. They're not a monopoly. They are a vertical unto their own, and they compete with all of the PC world, all of the other Android mobile devices, all of Linux, all of Chrome, all of everything other than Apple. It can't be a monopoly because it's its own product. It's like saying that Kleenex is a monopoly because everybody calls it Kleenex. That's not what it does. Everybody just adopted and genericized the hell out of Kleenex. So I don't get the whole antitrust BS around Apple. It's made people millionaires because of the very platform that was created around and embraced by a community of loyal consumers. So where is the monopoly other than it was people gravitated towards it? I mean, it's just absurd. I really, no, I'm
People
not.
love to hate things. I
I,
mean,
I guess so. Everybody be more like Mayor Watt. I've got Linux devices and Android devices and Windows devices and Apple devices and everything in between. You need to be platform agnostic. You never know, because it's kind of like the whole camera ad saying, what's the best camera? The one you have on you. What's the best
that's true.
computer?
The one that you'll actually use, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep going. This is the last article. It's over in Reality Hacker. FCC closes Fastlane loophole and final net neutrality order. The agency released a final order clarifying the pay-to-play internet fast lanes for consumers that it violates its net neutrality rules. This blew my mind that net neutrality returned. It also guarantees that new rules won't preempt state broadband affordability programs. The article is over at wired.com. McKenna Kelly over at wired.com put this article together. And while I'm a subscriber, I'm not logged in, so I don't know if it's going to let me go through this whole article. And I won't anyway. But the agency released a final order clarifying the pay to play internet fast lanes for consumers violate its net neutrality rules. So, sorry, Bubs, no more profiting off of somebody that has more money just because they have more money. Now, everybody's information is supposed to be treated the same. So, no more packet manipulation. Speaking to Wired on Tuesday, a senior FCC official um, said that the final net neutrality order has been updated to ensure that paid fast lanes and consumer facing products, it says updated to ensure that paid fast lanes in consumer facing products violate the agency's rules. It's weird, right?
That, yeah, I guess it wasn't clear before that that would happen.
Yeah, I guess that's the
It's
context
very
there.
awkwardly written, though.
Yeah, it's almost like they made it so that the consumer facing fast lanes violate agency rules, but it's the other way around. The consumer facing fast lanes violate net neutrality. And it seems like a weird way to phrase this, but the official also said that the providers couldn't mask consumer products as enterprise ones to skirt the rules. So the net neutrality doesn't impact enterprise level pay to play lanes. So if you're going to go across a particular um, channel for the express purpose of enterprise level data transfer, that's still under a different kind of contract. But consumer data can't be manipulated by ISPs. So if I'm a Netflix consumer, Comcast can no longer hobble my bandwidth so that I can't get 4K resolution. That was a complaint that popped out many years ago.
So now they'll add a fee that's the we can't hobble your network,
Yeah.
whatever fee, right?
Yeah. It's the our margins are too small fee. So, but many critics fear that the draft rules were outdated and didn't account for new developments in technologies like 5G and more specifically network slicing. Telecom executives have argued that network slicing, the act of chopping a network into several smaller ones that vary in speed, should be exempt from rules banning paid fast lanes. Well, that's their own little, hey, let's carve it up so that we have tranches of various people that can pay more to play more, but that's not how the internet is supposed to be built. The internet is supposed to be all of the data transferring at the highest rate possible so that I can self heal in terms of any destructive mechanism that might bring down the net. So, changes to the final order also address concerns that the FCC's rules could preempt state led broadband affordability programs. Last month, Federal Appeals Court reversed a ruling that barred the state of New York from enforcing its own law requiring broadband providers to offer low cost programs. And the New York law requires ISPs to offer 25 megabit service for no more than $15 per month or 200 megabits for $20 a month, which do that. The thing about it is, which is a real pain in the ass, is that it's not symmetric. So you'll get 25 megabits down, but it's only 2 out. And so you can't do anything outbound. You can only consume.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't the space transmission kind of in line with this, or am I way off?
That laser one?
Yes.
Yeah, let me see. I think it trumped that. Yeah, it's 267 megabits per second from a laser. Let's see, where was it? I'm trying to remember where it actually was. Do, 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 do. It went 140 million miles from the Psyche spacecraft to Earth at 267 megabits per second, which is more than that.
Right, but isn't that kind of a problem?
Considering this is wired and that is a laser, yeah, it really, because these basically it's the equivalent of space Wi-Fi, which there's other issues associated with it. So why is a wired connection such a problem? Yeah, they'll sit there and say it's because there's only so much pipe for data to flow through, but fiber optics, yeah, believe me, they all have, and taxpayers paid for a shit ton of fiber optics in the ground that's now dark fiber. That's now outdated, by the way. They could still light it up, but it wouldn't be as efficient and effective as modern fiber optics, because it was 30 years ago when all of this took place. Anyway, yeah, in a nutshell, net neutrality is back, baby. And it caught me off guard because a week earlier, I was telling a group of people that it would be a miracle for net neutrality to come back. But what it is a change in culture, and regulatory capture is no longer present. It's shifting back to consumers, and the states, but really it's the consumers that are winning in all of this. All right, folks. Well, that's it for ohmTown Daily News Show for May 7th, 2024. We always get back into the party bus and race back down Main Street at fiber optic speeds. I think that's funny. Anyway,
It is funny,
I am
but
Mayor
not at
Watt.
space speeds.
I mean, it's close to speed. We went 267 megabits per second down Main Street. I am Mayor Watt, and everywhere around me is the sentient AI from the future, keeping me out of trouble or leading me right into trouble.
Good night, hometown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at around 8 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and on TikTok and Patreon and Twitch and the podcast, anywhere you get a podcast.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the dead air was Mayor Watt bobbing their head to and fro because we are everywhere, everywhere. All right, everybody. See you soon.